In this next tutorial, we're going to be using the tools to make our door and window. I'm going to review creating a new shelf with the tools on it. Going to the upper left-hand corner of the interface, I can click on this little gear and choose New Shelf. And a window will pop up allowing me to name it. We'll start by putting a couple of the standard tools in. To apply tools to that shelf now, on the Mac would be Command-Shift, on the PC would be Control-Shift. Holding down my Command-Shift, I will go to Edit and I'll choose Delete by Type History. Holding down Command-Shift, I'll go to Modify and I'll choose Center Pivot. Now the tools we're going to use to sculpt the windows will be our Edge Loop tool, our Multi-Cut tool, and our Extrude tool. So let's put those on the dock as well. Holding down the Command or Control Shift, I'll go to Edit Mesh, and I'll click on the Extrude tool. Now I'll go to Mesh Tools, and I'll choose Insert Edge Loop, and then Multi-Cut. I'll start by going to my Move tool, hitting W on the keyboard, and this is critical to maintain the integrity of the template as we cut and move edges. I'll double click on it, and in the attributes I'm going to check off Preserve UVs. Now I'm going to get my Edge Loop tool and I'll select the wall on the right with the windows and I'll click right on the edge, that green edge. Now if I would hit W, I can move this and the template stays in position. Had I not done that, it would distort the texture that we're using for the reference. I'll go ahead and I'll put another edge loop on the other side, and then I'm going to put one horizontally at the top edge of the window. Once again, if I need to tweak it, hitting W on the keyboard, and I can refine that. And I'll put one more for the bottom edge of the window frame. Now, if I hit 5 on the keyboard, I should be seeing something like this. Now, what I've done is, so when my geometry is deselected, I still see the references I just placed with the Edge Loop tool. In my viewport, I clicked on the little white frame box with the blue ball in the middle. So now I can see pretty clearly what I have so far. Next, we're going to begin to eliminate the polygon count. It's a flat surface, so we don't need all the edges, but we need to shore up the shape where the window is. I'm clicking on the little multi-cut tool, and I'll click here to activate. Click on that intersection, and I'll click here, and I'll click there. I'll hit return. I'll do the same here, down to the lower right, from the corner of the window shape to here, hitting return to set it. And I'll click on the last one, going to the lower corner, hitting return. I'll hit W immediately, and I'll deselect and go to my object mode. So you can see what we've just cut here. Doing this allows me to eliminate 4 of the edges, meaning eliminating 4 of the faces, essentially. So what does that mean? Well, if I was to right-click now and go to Edge, I can select this edge, this horizontal one, and if I was to now go to Edit Mesh and go to Delete Edge or Vertex, you can see now I've gotten rid of those 2. Now I'm going to get rid of all these so that what I'm left with are these diagonals coming from each corner to the edge of the wall surface. Right-clicking, I'll choose Edge. I'll select the ones I want to get rid of. The key quick on the Mac is Command-Delete. Control-Delete would be for the PC. I'll Shift-select these all at once and hit Command-Delete. Going to my object mode, I can now deselect, and we've eliminated some polygon faces. And this is critical for any modeling process, really, but most critical for game design. Now we need to go in and sculpt the windows. We're going to be using the Edge Loop tool, but we have to separate out the surface that will be the windows so that the edge loops for the verticals and the horizontals don't go on the wall as well. So I'm going to right-click and choose Face, and I'm going to select the section that will be our windows, and I'm going to go to Edit Mesh, Extract. Now if I right-click, return to my object mode, deselect, and then select the surface of the window, it's selected by itself. I'll click on it and I'll center the pivot. Next, we're going to cut and extrude a three-dimensional shape for the windows. I'll hit 6 on the keyboard to bring back the reference template. Getting the edge loop tool again, I'll select the edge defining the parameters of the window. I'll put one here on the horizontal, and I'll put one there. I'll hit W. I'll return to the object mode, selecting the window shape, and I'll hit 5 on the keyboard to hide the template. So now you can see we've defined that shape by itself. So if I was to select that and just pull it out, you can see that we've separated that out, and those edges haven't gone on the wall. Next, we're going to use our extrude tool to model the shape of the window. I'll right-click and I'll choose face, and I'll select each one, and I'll click on my extrude tool. My extrude tool is the little orange cube shape on the white plane with attributes. I'll click on the word on next to where it says keep faces together, and it turns it off. Which means now if I was to go and select one of the scale tools to activate the one in the middle, clicking and dragging the one in the middle to the left, I can now develop the edge of the window frame for each of the windows. I'll click on the extrude tool one more time, or I'll hit G on the keyboard, and now I'll pull that backwards. And you can see now we've got a bit of a window frame, and then the glass surfaces that will be behind the frame. Now I pulled this out, and I did that intentionally. So this can be done after this process. I'll return to my object mode. I want to give the top edge, the side edges, and the bottom edges a little thickness to make it a little bit more three-dimensional. I'll right-click and choose Edge. Double-click on any of these edges, and you'll see that it has selected all of them. Which means if I was to click on my Extrude tool again, I can now just pull directly back and I get some thickness to that window frame. I'll right-click and return to the object settings, and I'll save.